Hi everyone, welcome to the second installment of the podcast series for second year students in sections 1 and 3. You've got a combined podcast this week, and I'll explain why a little later. But first, some important reminders about these podcasts. First of all, you've probably noticed that I didn't plug in any of your general education courses onto the master schedule. I don't know what courses you're taking in terms of English, French, Humanities, Gym, but if you are, you will need to plug those into your own master schedule and any assignments that are connected with those courses as well. Also, it's important for me to note that I cannot guarantee that I have all of the information from all of your teachers in terms of assignments and schoolwork for any given time period. So there may be other assignments that I don't talk about in the podcasts, and so it's important to stay on top of that. Also, keep in mind that sometimes teachers change their minds at the last minute, for example, giving an extension to the whole class on an assignment. And so if there are any discrepancies between what I am saying in the podcast and what you are hearing from your teacher in class, always double check with the teacher. That's the best way to proceed in that situation. Last podcast, I invited you to send in your own tips and resources for staying organized and managing your time, and I promised that you would become a podcast star. Well, this week we have a shout out to Catherine Fortin, who is one of your fellow ECE students. She turned me on to this great website, thecosmicroad.com. It was created in 2016 by a student in Australia, and it contains all kinds of great resources for time management, doing different kinds of assignments, staying motivated, that kind of thing. And so, for example, you've got tips about how to study for final exams, how to create an oral presentation, and they've also got templates for organizing sheets like this, where you could list all of your assignments for an entire semester. So, thank you, Catherine. Last podcast, I talked to you about the importance of time management and staying organized. This time, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about how to best organize your time between classes. Sometimes this can be a challenge, but now that you're well underway in the semester, you're starting to get a handle on your schedule. Let's talk about this a little bit. Also, I do have to tell you that I have received some, let's call it feedback, from teachers about certain in-class behaviors that are disruptive and can even be perceived as disrespectful. And this also impacts how you're going to spend your time between classes. So, for example, if this is you in class, if you find yourself needing to go to the bathroom, my tip for you is to go on your breaks. Go pee. If you get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of a class, this bothers the teacher and potentially other students, and so using the bathroom on your breaks is a good way to organize your time. Also, if you people are interested and still need more motivation, in a future podcast I can take you on a tour of some of the finer washrooms in the N building. Maybe going to the bathroom is not your issue. Maybe it's more something like this, feeling restless, especially when classes are getting long, or you've done many classes back to back. And so what is a solution there? I have a simple solution, doing some stretching. This is also something that you can do during class without bothering the teacher or your fellow students. So think about something like some simple neck stretches, where you would just rotate your head from side to side. Don't go all the way around in a full 360. According to the pros, that's not so good for your neck. You could also go up and down, forwards and down towards your chest with your neck. That gets blood flowing to your neck and to your head and helps you feel more alert and more awake. And as I say, these are stretches you can do either on your breaks, it only takes a couple of minutes, or during class. Also, shoulder shrugs, shoulders up and back, or up and forwards, or up and down. Again, gets the blood flowing and helps you wake up a little bit. There are also some great lower body stretches that you can do discreetly, either on your breaks or during class. And so I'm going to let one of the pros tell you about some lower body stretches. So here we go.
I'm Sarah, and these are some exercises that you can do for your legs and butt while working at your desk. While you're sitting in your chair, you're going to want to just be sitting working, and you can contract your glutes and hold, and then release. And you can do this several times throughout the day to help tighten your butt and nobody would really notice what you were doing. Another great exercise you can do, a leg lift. So you're sitting in your chair, your legs are under your desk, and you can just lift and contract your muscles and hold. Back down. You can do both legs at a time or just one at a time. You can do calf raises. So your feet are on the ground and you lift up onto your toes and back down. This is helping to strengthen the muscles. I'm Sarah, and these are some exercises that you can do to work your legs and butt while sitting at your desk.
Thanks, Sarah. So those are some simple stretches that you can do. Some good tips on how to use your time between breaks. All right, if you haven't already done so, go and get your agenda, your calendar. Let's look at some of the assignments that you have for the weeks of September 25th and October 2nd. So you can see your overall schedule there. Notice down on the 9th of October, that's Thanksgiving, no school that day, but there is no schedule change for the rest of that week. So 10, 11, 12, 13 October, all as normal. You have, for your intro to practicum class, you do have your props for 3 songs, which are due in the week of September 25th. And Judy also wants you to read chapter 7 in the textbook to prepare for your intro to practicum class. And then on October 6th, the group project outline is due for your teamwork and communication class. Grace passed that on to me. So those are a couple of the assignments that you have due for the coming weeks. Going forward, I talked last time about giving me feedback about how the podcasts look. Let's also think about how we could personalize the podcast in terms of coming up with fun names for your sections. If you do, I promise that I will never again combine section 1 and section 3 in the same podcast. So you might want to think about something like this: section 1, we're number 1. Or maybe 3 is we for section 3. Anyways, put your thinking caps on and see if you can come up with some creative ideas for names for your section. As usual, post your comments on YouTube after you've watched the podcast. Remember that a full transcript is available. And of course, stay tuned for the next announcement, which will mean that a new podcast is available for you. That's it. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks. Bye.